Hello everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood comic book nerd back with another video. This time, we'll be taking a look at Marvel's Phase 5 thus far. Starting with Ant-Man Quantumania, a movie that was highly anticipated for its beloved cast and comedic banter, is a film with such potential, but also some glaring flaws. I loved the previous two movies, the first being my favorite in the trilogy, and the second being, well, a close second. Quantumania comes with a great premise, a world beneath our own with fantastical creatures and technology. A movie that introduces a brand new villain, Kang. Now, we have seen Kang before, but not on the big screen, and never this side of him. As far as casting goes, the cast for this movie couldn't be better. Paul Rudd fits into the character Scott Lang like a glove, and Jonathan Majors plays Kang with an amazing level of conviction. Watching the movie, I could really feel Kang's dedication to his ideals and his hunger for power. As for the story, it's one of family and redemption. Kang's hunger for power comes above all else, and Scott's love for his daughter leads him to sacrifice everything. We see some old faces return, like Darren Cross as MODOK, and some new faces too, like Bill Murray's Lord Krylar. A character I, and many others, would have loved to see return was Luis, played by Michael Pena, a character that had previously carried the prior film's comedy relief. Still, the movie was a fun romp, even though it definitely lacked in the effects department. MODOK especially gives me nightmares, and the effects give off an uncanny Spy Kids type vibe. But putting aside the visual component, the only other real disappointment for me was the ending. Having ants be the Deus Ex Machina that conquers Kang is a little underwhelming, to say the least. Going into Guardians of the Galaxy 3, however, I have only good things to say. The cast of the prior films returns with the addition of Cosmo the Space Dog, voiced by Maria Baklova. There's just something about the Guardians of the Galaxy films in the way that they pull you into the story and offer a comical yet emotional experience that really tugs at the heartstrings. Every movie in the series never ceased to wow me with its action sequences and character arcs in tandem with their striking storylines and beautiful visuals. But Guardians 3 was the cherry on top. Each character in their own respective arcs were depicted brilliantly, as each character's strengths and weaknesses were acknowledged, exposing vulnerabilities and aspects of their identities that display a realistic, unembellished character beneath a gritty hero. Each of the Guardians had their own role to play, and the film showcased each of their qualities remarkably, which allowed the audience to perceive every version of said characters in such a compelling way. I was kept on the edge of my seat all throughout this space action adventure experience, and couldn't look away, afraid I would miss something critically important. Everything from the stunning fighting sequences and animation, to the heart-wrenching backstory of Rocket, to the beautiful themes of family, compassion, grievance, and perseverance, Guardians 3 ties the entire franchise together beautifully, filled with shocking surprises, moving elements, and of course, a sprinkle of some good old Marvel comedy. All in all, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a testament to the entire franchise. There's so much more to divulge about this movie, but at risk of going on forever, I'll stop while I'm still ahead. Unfortunately, now I have to talk about Secret Invasion, a show that I began with extremely high hopes and ended feeling so disappointed. The casting is spectacular, as per usual with Marvel films. Every character feels distinct and full of emotion. Olivia Colman was probably my favorite part of the show and how spectacularly she played the part. Not to mention Ben Mendelsohn, Emilia Clarke, Kingsley, and so many other amazing actors who commanded the screen with such emotional volatility. Where the cast succeeded, though, the writing failed. What started as an intense and dark spy thriller ended as the tired old CGI fight scene with superpowers and who can punch the hardest. This was a show that should have kept you glued to your seat, anxiously guessing who can be trusted, but instead of putting on their poker face, they showed their hand from the very beginning, leaving very little to the imagination. I mean, characters were often written out of character and dumb, their goals making little sense at times, and the show was littered with red herrings that became nothing and lacked any semblance of logic. To top it off, the big finale was a mess of CGI that looked almost as though it was parodying itself, In the end, what we got was a disappointing adaptation of one of the greatest stories in Marvel Comics. That being said, I am hopeful for the future of Phase 5. As of this being recorded, Loki Season 2, Episode 1 has been released, and just like Season 1, has proven what Marvel is capable of. A truly great beginning to a second season. I also hold high hopes for the Marvels, set to release next month. In conclusion, Phase 5 has had its rough patches, for sure, but those rough spots are massively outdone by their good spots. Guardians 3 was a masterclass in what Marvel can do, and Quantumania, though not perfect, has set into motion the lead up to our next major villain clash. I'm excited to see what develops and how, and I have faith that Marvel won't disappoint. Well, hopefully. Anyways, this has been my review of Phase 5 thus far. Let me know what your thoughts are, and don't be afraid to hit subscribe and maybe like the video too. It helps out a lot. Thanks as always. I'll see you guys in the next video.